Breaking news, guys. Breaking news, man. Lil Jon's son is missing. I got the news from my girl, Reality TV, who is from Georgia.
The internet wasn't ready for this. 1 minute, it was just another quiet afternoon. No drama, no headlines, no warning. But the next, social media went into a full-blown panic. A cryptic, grainy video began circulating. Tagged anonymously, no context, no sound, just a blurred figure that looked way too familiar. And then the caption hit. Lil Jon's son, watch closely. That's all it took. Within minutes, fan pages were in meltdown. Conspiracy threads exploded. Group chats were flooded. Some said it was a setup. Others swore it was retaliation. But the one thing everyone agreed on? This was personal. And here's the terrifying part. The footage didn't come from a news outlet. It didn't come from law enforcement. It didn't even leak from paparazzi. It came directly from Lil Jon's enemies, people with a score to settle. People who waited for the perfect moment to strike where it would hurt the most. Lil Jon has beef, but this was something else. This was a message. And if what insiders are now saying is true, it's not just about the video. It's about what's coming next. A threat that's been building quietly for years. And now, it's erupting into full view, dragging his family into a war they never signed up for. So what was really in the footage? Who sent it? Why now? And how is Lil Jon responding to the unthinkable? Strap in, because this isn't just another celebrity headline. This is a warning shot, and what follows could change everything. Here comes Section 2. Introduction and background. Approx 1,200 plus words. 4. Lil Jon's Opps share chilling footage of his son. To understand the sheer weight of what just happened, you have to go way back. Because this isn't just a random video, some throwaway drama, or a quick headline destined to fade by morning. No. This moment, this calculated attack, has roots tangled deep in the underbelly of hip-hop beef, old grudges, hidden betrayals, and unfinished business. And at the center of it all, Lil Jon. Known to the world for his explosive energy, unforgettable ad-libs, and crunk anthems that redefined the sound of the South, Lil Jon has always carried two identities. To the public, he's the party king. The voice behind Turn Down for What? The man who brought stadiums to life with just a yay and a what? But behind the scenes, Jon has always been far more guarded, more strategic, and more dangerous than anyone ever gave him credit for. Because while he was building an empire of hits, features, and cultural dominance, he was also building enemies. Some of them were loud, beefs that spilled out in the open with diss tracks and shady interviews. Others were silent assassins, rivals he left behind in the industry, deals that went sour, artists who never forgot being cut off from the bag. And then there were the ones no one talks about, the ghosts, the ones who don't do social media, don't do interviews, but never forgot what went down in Atlanta during the crunk era. These are the ones people are whispering about now. Because this leaked footage, it didn't come from a gossip blog. It didn't come from TMZ. It came from the shadows. A network of individuals who've been watching Lil Jon, waiting for the perfect opening. And now that the target is no longer him, but his son, that tells you everything you need to know. Let's rewind. Lil Jon's rise to fame wasn't just musical. It was territorial. When crunk took over the South, it was more than a sound. It was a power move. Suddenly, labels were flooding Atlanta, and every artist who had been grinding in the underground felt pushed out by the new wave. Jon wasn't just succeeding, he was dominating, and some claimed he didn't always play fair. Rumors circulated about deals cut in the dark, studio takeovers, and even street-level enforcement when someone got too close to Jon's circle. Whether it was true or not, one thing became clear. Jon wasn't untouchable, but he made sure people acted like he was, and that created resentment. Fast forward to the late 2000s, While Lil Jon had pivoted into DJing, producing, and staying mostly low-key in the public eye, something else was happening beneath the surface. His son was stepping into the spotlight. Young, talented, and carrying the weight of a legend's name, Lil Jon's son had become a minor figure in the entertainment space. Small performances here and there, behind-the-scenes production rumors, appearances on red carpets that had fans saying, "Wait, is he next?" It was subtle, but the buzz was there. And that's when the threat started. Not publicly, oh no, this wasn't the kind of drama that explodes on Twitter. This was deeper. Underground forums started surfacing claims about Jon's enemies watching his son's every move. One post in particular from over a year ago predicted it all. When they can't get to the king, they aim for the prince. Watch. At the time, fans ignored it, brushed it off as internet trolling. But now, with the footage circulating, that post reads more like a prophecy. So what do we know about the footage? Sources say the clip shows Lil Jon's son, allegedly unaware he's being followed, leaving a studio in LA. The angle suggests it was filmed from a parked vehicle. But it's what happens next that rattled everyone. A second clip, darker, more distorted, cuts in, showing the same car later that night in an alley. Its lights off, someone waiting inside. The implication? They were tracking him. And the caption that accompanied the video? Should have stayed out of grown folks' beef. That's what chilled people to the bone, because it confirmed what many feared. This isn't random, this is payback. The question is, payback for what? Some say this goes back to Lil Jon's silent beef with a southern producer who vanished from the scene after a messy label split. That others point to an artist Jon allegedly ghosted on a promised collab that never dropped, causing that artist's career to nosedive. And then there's the third theory, far more sinister. That years ago, during the peak of the crunk movement, someone close to Jon got cut off not just from the music, but from the money, and they swore revenge. Not with a diss track, not with drama, but with patience. And if that's the case, then the footage isn't just a threat. It's a declaration of war. As the internet tries to piece together the puzzle, insiders close to the Jon family say the household has gone completely silent. No statements, no denial, no social posts. That silence? It's louder than anything they could have said. Because if there's one thing everyone agrees on, it's that Lil Jon doesn't stay quiet unless he's planning something. And now, with his son dragged into the crosshairs of a conflict he never asked for, all eyes are locked on the next move. Because whatever happens next won't be quiet, and it definitely won't be clean. Here comes Section 3. Major conflict and first twist. Approximately 1,600 plus words. For Lil Jon's Opps, share chilling footage of his son. That night changed everything. The footage itself was chilling. But what came next? That's what really flipped the table. Because just hours after the video started circulating across private group chats and encrypted message threads, a second wave of content hit the internet. This time, it wasn't just a clip. It was a message, typed out, sent directly to a small hip-hop commentary page. No sender, no metadata, no confirmation. But once they posted it, the entire game shifted. Your son knows things he shouldn't. We warned you. You kept pushing. Now you'll feel what it's like when your legacy isn't safe. Wait. What? Suddenly, this wasn't just surveillance or intimidation. It was accusation, implication. That Lil Jon's son, not the man himself, had stumbled onto something he wasn't supposed to see. Something hidden. And that's when rumors started flying like wildfire. Was he involved in a recording deal? A meeting? Was he present for something off the record? Illegal, controversial, or deeply personal? Whatever it was, someone believed he saw too much. And now they were sending a very public warning. And if that wasn't disturbing enough, there was more. And an anonymous Reddit user claimed to have access to direct messages between Lil Jon's son and an unnamed Atlanta producer with history, where he allegedly confronted the man about a past incident involving his father. According to the user, the son didn't just ask questions. He demanded answers, screenshots, and receipts. It was a bold move, one that might have crossed a line he didn't know existed. But here's where it gets twisted. Just one day later, that Reddit account was deleted. Completely wiped. No warning, no post history. Gone. And if you know how these underground feuds work, that's not a glitch. That's a cleanup. Suddenly, what began as a leaked video had unraveled into something far more dangerous. This wasn't about music beef anymore. This was about information control, secrets, power. Because if Lil Jon's son had stumbled onto something real, something tied to old industry blood deals, hidden payouts, or career silencing dirt from the early 2000s, then he didn't just become a target by association. He became a liability. And Lil Jon? He wasn't taking it lightly. A close friend of the family allegedly told sources that Lil Jon has gone into what they're calling crisis mode. Phones locked down. Family under private security. His son's appearances canceled. One industry executive was quoted off record saying, "He's shutting it all down. Jon doesn't care about image right now. This got personal. It's war." And when Lil Jon says it's war, you listen. Because even though he's been quiet publicly, insiders know his reach runs deep. This isn't some washed-up rapper from the past trying to protect his legacy. And this is a man who helped build the blueprint of the South and knows exactly how to move in silence. But here's the twist that really shook the community. Someone from inside Jon's old camp came forward. Not publicly, not on TV, but through a burner account on Instagram stories, an account that had only ever followed people tied to Lil Jon's 2003 to 2007 circle. And what they posted was a picture. A blurry photo of a contract. Not a music contract, but a settlement agreement. Dated, signed, redacted. The caption said, "You think this is about a video? Nah, it's about what was buried and who tried to bring it back." And now fans are digging. Hard. Some believe this settlement was tied to a lawsuit that mysteriously vanished during the height of Jon's fame. One that allegedly involved royalties, intellectual property theft, and studio rights. Others say it's about something worse, a cover-up that could ruin multiple careers if the truth came out. And who's in the crosshairs now? Lil Jon's son. Not because he did anything wrong, but because he might be holding the thread that, if pulled, unravels the entire past. This is the part where things get real ugly. Because someone just released a manipulated version of the original video, with audio layered over the clip. The voice? Distorted? The message? Next time, it won't just be footage. It sent chills down everyone's spine. Not just because of the threat, but because whoever did this is escalating. They want fear, chaos, and they want to see what Lil Jon does when his empire is no longer in the studio, but on the front line. So the question now is, who betrayed him? Because none of this would be possible without someone inside leaking information. Someone who knew where Jon's son would be. Someone who knew how to get footage that intimate. Someone who knew exactly which buttons to push. And this is where the first real twist lands. Because one anonymous industry insider just dropped the bomb. The leak didn't come from an Opps. It came from someone who used to call him family. Betrayal. From within. Now everything makes sense. The access, the timing, the venom behind the message. This wasn't just a warning. It was a setup. And the most chilling part? They're not done. According to the insider, there's more footage, more DMs, more screenshots, and the person behind it? They're waiting. Waiting for Lil Jon to make his next move. Waiting to see if he'll go public or play the game in the shadows. Because this war, it's not about fame anymore. It's about secrets. It's about survival. And it's about who's willing to lose everything to expose the truth. And as the first wave of silence crashes into this storm of betrayal, all eyes are on the next move. Because one wrong step, and this won't just be about a son caught in the crossfire. It'll be about everything Lil Jon tried to protect. Falling apart. Here comes Section 4. Escalation and shocking reveal. Approximately 1,400 plus words. 4. Lil Jon's Opps share chilling footage of his son. The internet thought it had seen it all. But then they dropped the second clip. No warning, no buildup, just another anonymous account. 0 followers, generic username, and one single post. This time, it wasn't grainy security footage. This wasn't a distant camera or a hidden angle from across the street. No, this was a direct shot. Lil Jon's son, clearly visible, inside what appeared to be a private lounge, talking to a man whose face was blurred. No audio again, just body language, hand gestures, a tense exchange that lasted barely 20 seconds. Before the screen cut to black and a final message flashed. "You still think we're playing?" That post stayed up for 14 minutes. Long enough for hundreds of fans, media insiders, and hip-hop watchdogs to download it, repost it, and start pulling apart every pixel. And what they found was terrifying. Because the man sitting across from Jon's son? Based on tattoos, build, and jewelry. A few users claimed it was an ex-producer from Lil Jon's earliest label days, someone who vanished after being accused of financial misconduct and who was allegedly blacklisted by Jon himself. The theory? Jon's son was digging, trying to get information on a deal his father refused to speak about. Which leads us to the most disturbing part of this entire drama. Lil Jon's son wasn't being targeted for being part of a beef. He was being monitored because he almost exposed something big. And now that the enemies know how close he got, they're trying to scare him into silence, or worse. That's when the internet exploded. Forums lit up. Conspiracy videos surged. Hip-hop bloggers rushed to livestream theories. And while some were brushing it off as elaborate trolling, others saw through the smokescreen. Because this level of calculated escalation, this is personal. Someone wants Lil Jon to react. And oh, he did. Though he still hasn't posted publicly, sources close to the situation confirmed that Jon hired private cyber investigators to trace the origins of the footage. And apparently, they've already flagged several accounts as coordinated. Not random trolls, not rogue fans, but a network. Possibly even a team with resources, old receipts, and a mission. But here's where things get even uglier. One of the investigators working on Jon's case reportedly discovered an old hard drive posted for sale online under a suspicious auction site. The seller described the item as rare audio, contract footage, and hidden studio cam clips. The keywords? Crunk era. Untold. No names. But the timing? Too perfect to ignore. And Jon's people moved fast. Within hours, the listing vanished. But screenshots remain. And now fans are scrambling to figure out what's on that drive, and more importantly, how someone even got access to it. Because if that hard drive really contains studio footage and documentation from Jon's early years, it means someone has been sitting on explosive material for years, just waiting for the right time to release it. And clearly, this is the time. But here's the most bone-chilling reveal yet. Right after the second video dropped, an encrypted email was leaked to a music journalist. The source? Still unknown. The content? A scanned non-disclosure agreement dated 2004, signed by multiple names. One of them? Lil Jon. Another one? The man believed to be in the new video with his son. The email subject? You forgot what you signed? The message? If he opens that door, we're burning the house down. That was the moment everyone knew. This isn't beef. This is a cover-up, a ticking time bomb, a buried past that's clawing its way into daylight. Lil Jon isn't just facing a PR nightmare. He's confronting something much darker, something that someone else is desperate to keep buried. So what's Jon's move? According to inside sources, Jon has activated phase 1 of what's being described as a containment operation. Trusted allies are circling back. Former label execs are going silent. NDAs are being rechecked. But the fact that this is even happening suggests one terrifying truth. The leak might be legit. The footage might just be the beginning. And the opposition? They're getting bolder. One of Lil Jon's longtime collaborators, who hasn't worked with him in nearly a decade, he posted a cryptic story. A black screen with white text that simply read, "He thought it wouldn't come back, but ghosts never stay dead." That story disappeared after 12 minutes, but fans saved it. Now the questions are swirling. What exactly did Lil Jon bury in the past? Why was his son trying to dig it up? And who else is involved? Because remember, we're not talking about a diss track. This is a multi-layered attack, one that involves surveillance psychological warfare, threats, old contracts, possibly stolen footage, and now, a movement. Yes, that's right, a movement. A series of cryptic hashtags have begun popping up across multiple platforms. Hashtag Crunkfiles, hashtag Untold South, hashtag 2004 Tape. Accounts posting these tags are dropping snippets of lyrics, studio photos, blurred contracts, and in captions like, "They made history, but at what cost?" It's no longer just about Jon and his son. It's about the past coming back for the entire crunk generation. And the industry is watching, nervously. Several producers who once worked in Atlanta during that era have suddenly gone dark on social media. Journalists are reporting locked accounts, messages being wiped, even label assistants refusing to comment on anything connected to Lil Jon or his former associates. That's not coincidence. That's damage control. And if we've learned anything from this kind of smoke in the past, it means there's fire just beneath it. What happens if more footage leaks? What happens if the person behind this has audio? What happens if Jon's son, who clearly already knows more than he should, decides to speak? That's the nightmare scenario. Because once this story moves beyond speculation and into verifiable truth, legacies fall, brands collapse. And for someone like Lil Jon, who spent decades curating an image of wild fun, rebellious freedom, and untouchable energy, it could mean the destruction of his entire empire. And still, through all of it, Jon has remained silent. Not a tweet, not a statement, not even a denial. Which begs the question, is he protecting his family? Or is he buying time to hide something else? One thing is certain, whoever's behind this isn't finished. They didn't just send a message, they started a war. Here comes Section 5, Public and Industry Reactions, approximately 1,200 plus words, for Lil Jon's Opps share chilling footage of his son. The silence didn't last. Once the second video hit the internet and whispers of cover-ups, hidden NDAs, as in lost hard drives started circling, the public didn't just react, they erupted. And the industry, the hip-hop community, longtime collaborators, old rivals, journalists, and even pop stars, they all jumped in, and what they revealed just added fuel to an already raging fire. Within the first 48 hours, a wave of tweets, Instagram stories, YouTube live streams, and podcast segments dominated the trending pages. But it wasn't just fans speculating anymore. This time, it was people with real ties to the industry. People who'd been in the room back in the day when Lil Jon was at the peak of his power. And some of them, they weren't defending him. One of the first to break the wall of silence was DJ Paul of 3-6 Mafia. While he didn't name names, he posted a cryptic tweet. Some folks built empires on pain. He ain't funny how truth comes crawling back when the lights fade. That was all it took. Retweets exploded. Theories flooded in. People started digging into old studio beefs between Jon and the Memphis scene, pulling up decades-old interviews where Jon suspiciously dodged questions about past deals, payouts, and falling outs. But the tweet that really broke the dam came from a verified burner account that fans later tied back to a female artist who collaborated with Jon on a massive hit in the mid-2000s. Her words? I told y'all back then the paperwork was dirty, but nobody listened. Now the next generation is paying the price. Q. Absolute chaos. Suddenly fans weren't just watching a scandal, they were investigating one. Forums began compiling timelines. TikTok users created entire series decoding every move Lil Jon made from 2003 to 2007. Yet Reddit threads titled The Crunk Conspiracy gained tens of thousands of upvotes overnight. And then came the fan theory that changed everything. One Twitter user, @JonFilesUnsealed, went viral for piecing together a suspicious pattern. Multiple artists from Jon's early roster who mysteriously disappeared from the scene right after success. Some were allegedly bought out, others just vanished, with rumors of settlements, blackballing, and unspoken trauma lingering for years. But now, they're speaking up. A former backup vocalist, who hadn't been heard from since 2005, took to TikTok and said this: "Back then, we weren't allowed to ask questions. We were told, smile for the camera, shut up behind the scenes. But Jon's son? He asked, he broke the rule. And now they're coming for him." That clip alone racked up 9.2 million views. Now even Waka Flocka Flame chimed in, tweeting, "I respect Lil Jon, but if this is what I think it is, he better come clean before it gets real ugly." At this point, Jon's silence wasn't strategic anymore. It was suspicious. And then, in a shocking twist, a major journalist from Rolling Stone announced that they've been working on an exposé for over a year, one that started with rumors of missing payments to artists signed under a now-defunct Jon-affiliated imprint. They confirmed, this investigation was already in motion before the footage of Jon's son leaked. But now, that footage just lit the match. So what about the fans? They're split. Half of Jon's loyalists are defending him, claiming this is an elaborate takedown, an organized smear campaign orchestrated by someone bitter from the past. They're flooding his old posts with heart emojis, praying hands, and pleas to stay strong. But the other half? They've switched sides. They're demanding answers. They're reposting every leaked email, every grainy screenshot, every blurred studio photo, begging for the full truth. They want Jon to say something, anything, even if it's just to deny what's being said. Because right now, the silence feels like guilt. And if you thought the music industry would rally behind Jon, think again. Multiple producers, engineers, and even a couple of Jon's past tour DJs have declined to comment. One ghost producer said in a leaked voicemail, "I ain't touching that. That's old South business. I'm not about to end up in someone's documentary." But the most unexpected voice of support? Missy Elliott. She posted on X, formerly Twitter. Whatever Jon did or didn't do. Let's remember this. Threatening someone's child crosses a line that should never be crossed, no matter the beef. Her tweet went viral, instantly, because she was right. At the center of all of this noise, at the heart of this storm, was a young man who may have just been trying to find out who his father really was. And now, he was being targeted, exposed, and dragged into something that was never supposed to go public. And then came the biggest shift yet. A major streaming platform, one that hosts several of Jon's legacy albums, quietly removed one of his early compilations. No press release, no warning. Just gone. Fans noticed within hours, and when they contacted support, they got this vague response. "We are currently investigating the rights and licensing of this material." That was all the internet needed. Now people were whispering, is the industry already cutting ties? Is this bigger than we thought? Is the downfall already in motion? And just when it felt like the heat couldn't get any worse, a third video surfaced. This time, it wasn't surveillance. It wasn't a silent clip. It was a recording. Audio only. Lil Jon's voice, allegedly, talking to someone off mic. Angry, panicked, saying phrases like, "We cleaned that up already." Why is he asking questions now? "I told you to keep that tape buried." The internet froze. Is it real? Is it AI? Is it from the past? Or is it recent? No one knows for sure. But if it is real, this could be the smoking gun. A line that confirms Jon knew about a buried secret, and that his son was never supposed to find it. Just when it seemed like every shocking secret had already been spilled, every clip had been dissected, and every theory exhausted, they dropped the final blow. The fourth leak. But this time, it wasn't posted to Twitter. It wasn't dumped on Reddit or shared by an anonymous TikTok. It was emailed directly to TMZ, to Complex, to Rolling Stone, and to Lil Jon's legal team. Subject line? If he won't tell the truth, we will. And the file? A high-resolution, time-stamped, unedited video from 2006. A private studio session, low lighting, familiar faces. Lil Jon, clearly visible, sitting at a mixing board. His son, just a kid back then, sitting nearby with headphones on. But he's not the focus. The camera pans. I'd slowly, toward a heated conversation happening behind a glass partition. Two men. One of them the same blurred figure seen speaking with Jon's son in the second leaked video. The other? A former label rep believed to have vanished in 2008. The conversation is muffled at first, but then it gets clearer. Audio kicks in, and what's said breaks the internet in half. You said she signed the deal. We paid her off. She's not gonna talk. But the kid, you need to handle that. If this gets out, Jon's done. We're all done. That's when the camera shakes slightly. Someone's hand trembles. A female voice whispers off screen. Is this still recording? Cut to black. No outro, no watermark, no logo. Just one sentence on screen. He knew from the start. The internet goes feral. TikTok explodes. YouTube live streams pop off. Our reaction videos pour in every second. A new hashtag trends globally. Hashtag Jon knew. Hashtag the 2006 session. Hashtag justice for the silenced. Suddenly, this isn't just about a beef. It's not just about industry secrets or shady contracts. It's about a woman, a payoff, a hidden scandal, and a child, now a grown man, who uncovered it all by accident. People immediately start connecting dots. Fans dig into interviews from 2007 where Lil Jon got abruptly emotional when asked about his rise to power. A clip resurfaces from a podcast where a former backup dancer hinted, "There was a lot of tension during the crunk era, things people ain't ready to hear." Even worse? Old lawsuits start trending. Payouts that were once sealed, gag orders, quiet settlements. And then, like a final nail in the coffin, Lil Jon's son goes live. No flashy background, no hype. Just him, sitting alone, face pale, eyes sunken. One sentence. I didn't mean to find any of this, but now that I have, I can't unsee it. The live ends in under 60 seconds, but the damage is done. Within minutes, press outlets label it the biggest hip-hop family scandal since the Dr. Dre and Michelle saga. Lawyers begin issuing statements. Industry insiders retreat. Studio executives scramble. And Lil Jon? He's gone dark. His official website? Offline. His Instagram? Archived. His Twitter? Silent. And that's when an anonymous insider leaks one final piece to a journalist from Billboard. There's still one more tape, the one that proves what this is really about. And if that drops, it's over for Jon, over for everyone. The cliffhanger is real, because now the question isn't whether Lil Jon's past is tainted. It's how far he went to keep it hidden, and whether the next leak will destroy everything he built or expose someone even bigger behind it all. Because this war, it's no longer just Jon versus his enemies. It's about what he was protecting. And the final twist? We still don't know who's behind the leaks, but rumors are swirling that it's someone inside the family. And just like that, everything changed. What started as a blurry, anonymous clip ended up becoming the most explosive unraveling of Lil Jon's legacy that hip-hop has ever seen. Not because of one scandal, not because of one leak, but because of a truth that refused to stay buried, and a son who never asked to be part of this war, but found himself thrown into the fire. The questions now are deeper than ever. How much did Lil Jon really know? Who were the people behind those old contracts? And why are so many industry figures suddenly scared silent? Because this is no longer about music. This is no longer about beef. This is about power. This is about betrayal. And most of all, this is about a legacy collapsing in real time. And while Lil Jon's team scrambles to do damage control, deleting files, issuing cease and desist letters, trying to plug a dam that's already shattered, the internet is already 10 steps ahead. Receipts are archived, screenshots are backed up. Every leak is being mirrored and re-uploaded faster than takedowns can catch them. Because the people want answers. And Lil Jon, he might have had the crunk era on lock, but he never saw this era coming. Now we wait. Will the final tape surface? Will the sun speak out again? Or will someone even bigger get exposed in the fallout? Because remember, this didn't just shake Lil Jon's house. This rattled the whole industry. And somewhere behind the curtain, someone is pulling strings. So keep watching, keep listening. And above all, don't blink. Because the next name to drop might just be the one none of us expected. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe Lil Jon's son accidentally uncovered the truth? Or was this a long-planned move by someone on the inside? And if that final tape really drops, who else is going down? Make sure to like, subscribe, and smash that notification bell. Because we're not just reporting stories anymore. We're witnessing legacies fall in real time. And trust us, the next one is already cracking.